right. Welcome again to another deep dive interview. We are hanging out with Oliver from Jippi. Jippi, the website is jippy.app, and this has been dubbed the Pokemon Go for Bitcoin. So it's a pretty addictive game. They're in the app stores. You can, with this augmented reality, walk around, catch the beasts and earn some sats. And we're going to learn about it here today. I've known Oliver for quite a while now, and it's been great watching him get this product live. Sort of limited. You have to be in Austin to actually play it as of right now. But welcome, Oliver. And how are you today? Where are you today?
Thanks, Mike. It's so great to be here to talk about Bitcoin and GP. I am in Fort Worth currently. It doesn't sound like it, but I am a Texas, Austin native. I was born here, but I grew up in the UK. And if the accent throws you, that is why.
Yes, sounds like you are across the pond. Um, Very cool. So you came out of the Pleb Lab crew. You want to talk a little bit about your origins and Jippy, for that matter, how the idea came about, and what got you from then to here?
Yeah, sure. So I am a software engineer by trade. I've been doing this for 6 years now. The most recent job was at Swan. So I was a mobile software engineer for Swan, and I was looking after their mobile Bitcoin exchange. Part of the reason they hired me was to try and bring more gamification into their retail app. But the redundancy there was a problem with Swan's strategy, and they went through a recent round of layoffs. So I was unfortunately part of that. But my goal with Jippy was to try and do some of the things I wasn't able to do at Swan with a consumer focused gamified Bitcoin on ramp. And that's really what Jippy is. So we're building the global Bitcoin on ramp for Gen Z. And to give some context about that, Gen Z, they're projected to be one of the largest, if not the largest, generations in history, with 12 trillion of expected purchasing power by 2030. And sort of, I see that as future Bitcoin purchases that we're going to need to unlock if we're going to reach hyper Bitcoinization in the coming years. So the vision here is to build something really fun and friendly so that the next generation of Bitcoiners will come through the space in a way that is more engaging to their abysmal attention span, which respectfully, which is 8 seconds. So they're not going to read traditional books like the Bitcoin standard. That's what we're trying to build.
So the attention span is 8 seconds. I hope people are still with us here at this point in time in the interview. All right. So Jippy is a game, right?
Yes.
First and foremost,
Yes.
it's a game. Okay, so you modeled it after Pokemon Go. Did you play Pokemon Go? Were you like a big fan? Because I know people were like obsessed with Pokemon Go when it came out.
Yeah, it was a global phenomenon. I mean, I was playing it 2016, 2017. I remember being pretty engaged with it. I don't know if you were, but there was definitely a drop off. I remember there was a period of time where I went to playing it religiously to just not. There was something that disengaged me. And so with Chippy, we wanted to emulate some of the gamification around geolocation. So you're walking around a city to catch these Bitcoin themed beasts, and once you cross a hotspot to find a beast, you can open up your phone and you can actually view that beast in augmented reality and catch it. The valuable thing here, I think, is combining education around Bitcoin with rewards. So you're not just catching these creatures, you're actually earning sats for this catch. And then the next phase, which is what we want to build, is you want to build a battle version that integrates more of that Pokemon Go. So once you've caught these beasts, you're actually able to battle them and earn high ticket rewards. So we're talking thousands in Bitcoin. And that I think for us is going to be really useful because the drop off won't be, well, I'm bored of playing the game now. It will be, I come back regularly to battle and earn high ticket Bitcoin rewards. And that's the value I think that we're going to be looking at building over the coming months.
So wasn't Pokemon Go? I mean, is their primary revenue driver advertising? I was always under the impression that those national chains like McDonald's or a Nike store, they had deals with Pokemon Go where there would be one of those Pokemons that you would catch inside, the McDonald's or at the McDonald's. When you got there and caught the beast, you realized that you wanted a Big Mac, and that was kind of their primary like revenue driver. Is that
Yeah,
true?
it is, including on the consumer side. So with users, retail, they actually pay for Pokeballs. So they pay a certain dollar amount for a certain amount of Pokeballs. On one side, you've got that, and then the other side, you have, yes, they're basically charging companies for each individual footprint that you get through the doors. So I think with Jippy, we can emulate that. So we're working through a revenue model where we would charge users a certain dollar amount for an upgrade in game. So if you're imagining a position where we randomly drop these beasts, these digital beasts at hotspots around a city, you'll go with your phone and walk around these hotspots. But there could be a model whereby if you just pay a certain amount, let's say 4.99, all the beasts come to you. So you don't have to go through the effort of walking around your city. So that's one revenue model we're working with. The second is, what if we have sponsored games? What if there is an arena, a Bitcoin Beast arena, where you're actually battling these creatures in person in your city? And then we can get sponsored, we can get products in there. It can be a more engaging experience than just battling online. So that side we could do as well for revenue.
So you mentioned there's an educational component or some type of
Yeah.
educational component with Bitcoin. How is that? Is because if I'm playing this game and I'm addicted to the game, I'm walking around, I'm catching beats, I'm stacking sats. I'm very curious to know the wallet integration. Can you spend from the wallet? Does it function as a normal Bitcoin wallet? And kind of who you chose as a provider and how you integrated that. But where does the educational component with Jipy actually come in?
Yes, to answer the first part of that, so we actually don't have a wallet ingrained in Jippy. We've actually outsourced that to Jolt, who is a Bitcoin rewards provider, and that way, all we have to do is send them a user from the Jippy side, credit their account, and they send back a Lightning URL. So that way, the user can decide what Bitcoin wallet they want to use and paste that Lightning URL into that wallet to receive the Sats. So eventually, we are, once we have more financial means to work with, we would look at integrating our own wallet and making it a lot more, well-rounded for the GP tech stack. As to your question around the education, so I think, and maybe you have similar views, but I think that education for Bitcoin is arguably one of the most important aspects of onboarding new Bitcoiners, and the research shows that. So there was a study done by Block XYZ that actually shows intent to purchase Bitcoin increases by 50% following education. So those with limited knowledge are 28% likely to buy. Those with expert knowledge are 78% likely to buy. So there's literally a correlation between those that understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin. But the problem is that Bitcoin is still pretty complicated to understand, especially with the siren call of crypto casinos and altcoins. We want to try and move people away from that space to Bitcoin only services. So really, I think with Jippy, can we provide best in class gamification? So the game itself is really fun, and then backdoor some education as part of that. And the vision for us is twofold. One is the first phase of the game is to catch these beasts. And you do that by going to that hotspot and answering a trivia question about Bitcoin that then catches the beast. The beast itself is also themed to do with a Bitcoin topic, so you get some education around that specific creature. That's the first part of the game. The second part of the game is the actual fun battling. And with the battling, it will literally just be beasts have certain stats. It's randomized so that when you pull your beast out of your beast bag, you can then battle other people to get high ticket reward items in Bitcoin. But for that part of the game, we just want that to be really fun. So there's no education there necessarily. The education is actually front loaded as part of catching the beast.
Very cool on the Jolts integration for the wallet too. That's awesome. So you've had some notoriety here. I actually don't have the all the tweets and the stuff that went out, but good friends of ours, Pleb Lab, did their second annual Top Builder tournament back in March, and you guys won.
We did. We did. We
Okay.
beat 14 other Bitcoin projects to the trophy, which is it's such a nice feeling to get after all the hard work from the Jippi team. So we're following Yopaki, who won Top Builder last year. We won Top Builder this year.
And yes, so this is 2024. I'm sure that they have a 2025 website that I couldn't find. So, how was it winning? How did that go?
A lot of hard work, honestly. It's quite vigorous, the program, and the caliber of projects this year was immense. I actually didn't think we were going to win, but part of the value, I think, for this program is it really makes you hone your offering. So not only are you actually building on the program, but when you get into the final selection of teams, which is sort of roughly 5 teams at the end of the program, you're pitching to a room full of Bitcoiners, and then you're pitching to a panel of judges too. And there are industry experts, there are VCs in the room as well. So what you have to do for that is you really need to hone your pitch. And that's where I think that I excelled is I spent a lot of time trying to hone the pitch, make the slides beautiful, and trying to convey the Jipy value proposition in a way that made sense. And obviously it worked. So all judges were unanimous. The feedback generally to me was Jipy was well positioned as arguably the best investment in the room or the most investable. So I think we have something here. It's just around how do we convince investors and how do we find product market fit through the game. That's my mission as Jipy CEO.
Well, speaking of investors and all that stuff here, now, full disclosure, we are not receiving any compensation for promoting this here. I think that might be a rule that we have to say. In fact, it's probably quite the opposite. But Jipy has a live investment opportunity on a website called timestampfinancial.com. This is a Reg CF equity crowdfunding portal where I'll say almost anyone can actually invest. And I think they were the first offering to go live on Timestamp, and it is still live. So, how has this been so far? And what can you say about this experience? I'm sure there's been some eye-opening opportunities with this whole process. But did you find you got a bump in the investors after you won the top builder contest? How is this?
Yes, we did, which is helpful being crowned top builder 2025. It definitely was useful for us to get some more clout. But I will say, I think that crowdfunding in the Bitcoin space is really valuable. My vision for Jipy was instead of going to VCs where you're locked into certain, limitations, I would say, with CrowdRaise, you can go directly to the plebs. And so you can actually say, here's this thing we want to build. We have an MVP that's out, which we do. It's not where we want it to be yet because we need more funds to actually finance the building of the next version of the game. So why don't we go directly to the plebs and say, you can actually invest. You don't have to be an accredited investor. You can literally invest as little as $100 to support the Jipy vision. What is really nice is we actually started to bring in, which is what you can see here in that section, rewards and perks. So depending on your investment amount, there is actually a perk that you get for that investment. Obviously, all investments, you get equity. So you actually own a piece of Jipy, but depending on the tier, we actually have different perks. So, for example, Diamond tier 10K plus, you actually collaborate with us on a one of a kind digital Bitcoin beast in the game with your own character name, your own lore. You get access to the team, VIP access to the game. So that's quite a nice way to incentivize contributions to the crowdfunding campaign. So far, we've raised 26% of our goal. So we're looking to raise 250K. So far, we've raised just above 66. So we are looking for more investment. We'll be keeping this campaign open for Well, a few more weeks. So we will be closing this campaign on the 31st of August. So you'll have a few more weeks to invest.
So, can you talk about your co-founders or other people on the team here? And I see that you have a Yopaki logo next to your name. Did you previously work with the team over there, or what is that? And can you go over kind of the collective experience of the team?
Yeah, yeah, I can. So with Yopaki specifically, I know Yopaki very well. I know Francisco well. He's a friend of mine, and I did work for them last year. I did a whole bunch of design for their application. They're going through a design overhaul as we speak, so it's really exciting to see them having raised their pre-seed do some amazing things with their onboarding app into Bitcoin. For the team specifically, so yeah, like it says here, we've got 20 years of collective experience in tech, building some various things. My experience is across Bitcoin and blockchain, healthcare, insurance, so a variety of different industries. Dennis is a CTO. He hasn't necessarily worked in Bitcoin, but he is a Bitcoiner. And he's got 5 years as a software engineer. And Greer Hall is our CMO, and he's got 8 years as a digital specialist. And he's worked with Bitcoin companies like Block Rewards and Foundation. So really, we're in a pretty special space where we have the skills to build Jippi, build out Jippi, and the connections to do it right. And so what we just need is the funds. We have a revenue plan, so we are looking at becoming a $140 million company at the end of year 5 if we can build the game to what we want it to be, and if we can continue to grow at the rate that we are, which would be 20% month on month, and then 5% of those users are actually paying users. That's the goal for us.
Was Pokemon Go a paid model?
Um, well, yes, if you consider the Pokeballs. So if you have the user that pays a certain amount in dollar terms to unlock in-game upgrades, then yes, they offer paid subscriptions or paid services, which is what we would be doing too. So the free-to-play, basically you play the game for free, but you can get upgrades if you pay.
And they are raising on a safe with a $3 million cap. That is the thing about Reg CF is everything has to be out there in the open. So there are no secrets or surprises here. So, all right, Oliver, listen, what what have you learned from the beginning to now? You know, as starting this and on your journey, maybe a bit naive and everything that you had thought. What would you tell yourself then, or maybe what would you have done or differently looking back with where you're at and where you've gotten to things at this point?
You know, I think building anything is really hard, but building in the Bitcoin space is even harder, especially around on-ramps and education. So we all know education earns no money. I mean, this category in the Bitcoin space earns no money. So what you sort of rely upon if you're a Bitcoin company is either the mining space or an exchange. And that's really where the money is. There are companies like Yopaki that are doing really great things and they have raised money. And then Jippi obviously trying to raise money as well. But it's a really hard journey, I think, for a Bitcoin startup that doesn't have a goal to become an exchange or to jump into the mining space. So we have to really rely upon other revenue streams to try and get money, prove the value proposition, get users. So I would say, I think for Jippi, the biggest learning point is it's not just about building it and they will come necessarily. It's about really trying to hone down where we can add value. And the value is the game. It's making the game as sticky as possible so people return to play. I think if we could do this again, instead of focusing on one demographic, let's say Austin, young Austin people, which is where I was based, still am based, Austin, it would be to open the game up to everywhere around America, make it super fun so that anyone can play and it's not limited by geography. So I think that would be the learning for me. But I think that considering we've been around for about a year, we've raised $66,000 so far. we've really been on a shoestring budget. Like we have not had a lot of capital to do what we've done. So this is just the first phase. We need to put gasoline on the fire to be able to build the thing we want to build. But as an MVP, I think we've done pretty well. We got over 1,000 downloads. We were growing about 60% each month, and that's continuing. So I think we've done pretty reasonably well with the resources that we have.
So you're in founder mode.
I am in founder mode.
All right, so I want to touch on something that I don't know if it met your expectations. I actually know that there were some issues with it, but
Mm.
the biggest Bitcoin event in history was just a few months ago in May. It was big because my mom was there, so that was exciting for her. And I know that you kind of put a lot into this. This was, a big deal to go to Vegas and, have a presence and make a push there. And I know that it did not exceed your expectations or meet your expectations. I know there were some technical hurdles and just a few things that maybe you didn't really think about before heading into Vegas for this event. Can you talk about a few of the things that went right, if anything went right, and the stuff that went wrong?
Absolutely. The vision with what we were trying to do here is to say, if we have this game where you have these creatures, these beasts, and we can put them at locations anywhere realistically on a map. What if we can center that around a conference, for example, the Bitcoin conference, and we can actually go to employers or Bitcoin companies and say, will you sponsor that beast? And we can actually theme that beast to the company. So we can say, we'll put the beast with a little logo of that company, t-shirt or a hat. We can change some beast names to be specific to that company, and that's quite a nice way to charge B2B revenue. So we can say, we'll charge $2,000 to actually put this real estate in the game, this creature in the game, and we can add a call to action in the Jippi app so that users who are early Bitcoiners and they're just experiencing the ecosystem can actually tap through to other Bitcoin related services. That was the vision. What I think that we didn't foresee with that is, with conferences, when you have 30,000 devices in one room and no conference Wi-Fi, you're withholden to external services. So the cell towers, wherever they are around the conference center, were literally overloaded. There were just too many people in that room, and you could see it live. So with the general expo area and then the stage, I remember walking to the stage from the expo area, and at that point, the stage was half empty, so I could use the app. It was fine. But as soon as I think it was Sailor came in, everyone migrated from the expo center to the stage, and immediately it stopped working. So really, we were sort of reduced bandwidth, and a lot of that was outside of our control. So it was good learning for how we would do this in the future. I still think there's a lot of value to be done to go to businesses and do sponsored games. Maybe that would be a sponsored game that we have more control over. So we can control the arena, we can put Wi-Fi there, we can make it really streamlined. I will say finally that the value proposition here was confirmed. I mean, we partnered with 6 Bitcoin companies that paid for real estate in the game. So we can confirm that if we do this again, we can get other partners. So that is at least one benefit from doing this exercise.
Yeah, and I also do just want to mention its Jippi app on X, and you should definitely give them a follow and check out some of their really cool demo videos. So, when building something like Jippi, are you more so targeting the Bitcoin audience and people who know and love Bitcoin and getting them to play a game to earn more sats or stack some free sats or get them interested? Or are you more so appealing to the gaming audience and kind of helping them realize, hey, you can earn some rewards and this is Bitcoin and it's them? So like in the case of Thunder Games, it's a mix because it's a casual gaming company. It's blackjack, it's solitaire, it's little puzzle games that are great for Aunt Mary, Uncle Bob, and everyone else with a little bit of a reward to it. What's your strategy for like go to market and customer acquisition? As far as would you focus on future Bitcoin events in the future because that's where you see the highest lift? Or is it more so the pocket gamers and the casual people and turning them on to it?
Yeah, really great question. I would say that there is certain value into going to Bitcoiners who may have younger folks, kids, they may know people that they want to actually onboard into Bitcoin. But really, I don't think Jippi for us, we're not a faucet. We're not designed to be a faucet that just allows people who already know about Bitcoin and have Bitcoin to just get more Bitcoin. The mission for us is we want to literally build the global Bitcoin earn ramp for Gen Z. And I mentioned at the beginning why Gen Z is important. They're up and coming into Bitcoin. They're going to be the largest generation with an insane amount of purchasing power. We did some research into them, and actually, it's really interesting. So, 90% of Gen Z they play some type of game. 70% of Gen Z want to earn some type of reward while playing game. And what's even more interesting, 51% of Gen Z actually want to earn Bitcoin. So there is a really, really high value demographic here sitting on the sidelines that no one is really targeting. And that's what GP wants to do. We want to onboard a whole new generation of Bitcoiners onto Bitcoin through gamification.
Awesome. So, when you are now, iterating and pivoting and doing all the things that you're doing, what are some of the things that your users and your fans, what are they requesting? What are some of like the most requested features?
Yes, that is something we're deeply passionate about is going to the users directly and actually getting feedback and iterating. So if you do have any feedback, then you can reach out to me. The Jippi app is the Twitter handle, or Hey Olpo, HEYOLPO on X for my personal account. So you're welcome to give us feedback. We really want to build around that. But I would say that the most important feedback we're getting so far is that the game needs to be more fun. So at this point, we have these creatures. They are augmented reality creatures in 3D. They are static creatures, so they don't actually move. What people want is for them to move, to be more dynamic, for the game to be more fun. So that's really what we're trying to raise money to do. That's what the $250,000 is going to go towards, is iterating on the game, making it way more fun, something akin to Pokemon Go, something that is like Pokemon Go, but with Bitcoin and rewards in there as well.
So I want to ask, and you know, during the last administration, even the most casual Bitcoin related companies just had the most difficult time getting their apps approved, um, mainly in on iOS devices. But you seemed to do that. Was it difficult getting your app in, and how important and crucial was the non-custodial wallet integration to your app store approval?
Yeah, this process was an absolute train wreck, like an absolute nightmare, complete nightmare. It was many iterations of appeals to go through Apple. Their process is just like the worst. So every time you resubmit a version of the app to the App Store, you get a different reviewer. So there's no sort of chain of communication. So no one really maintains context about what your app does or what it is for. But yes, I would say Apple in particular have a really solid aversion to Bitcoin in general. So we had to be pretty careful around how we position the app, what phrasing we use in the text copy, not only for the product pages that you're seeing here, but also in the app itself. We had to add disclaimers that we don't custody any rewards, and that's through a rewards partner. So I would definitely say that if anyone's thinking about building a Bitcoin app of any kind, that should be the first hurdle that you get through, is ensure that you're on the app store, ensure that you're communicating adequately what your service does, and you get around any potential blockers that Apple have put around Bitcoin rewards. It is a massive struggle.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, listen, wishing you the best and excited to follow the wrap up of your offering on Timestamp. And we'll put the links to all that below. And on that note, is there anything that you want to let everyone know about as far as Jippi in the future and what you're working on and all that good stuff? Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
We are at the beginning of our journey here. I truly think that we have something special. If we are to reach hyper Bitcoinization in the coming years, we need to find some way to target younger demographics. Otherwise, they're just going to be pulled in the direction of altcoins. We don't want that. We want to bring some of the gamification, some of the fun, engaging elements from those sorts of arenas to Bitcoin. No one's really doing this. And so Jippi, I think, is pretty well positioned to build something that makes sense for young people. What we need is capital. So, we've raised $66,000. We've done pretty well so far, but we do need your help. So, in as little as $100, you can invest in Jippi at timestampfinancial.com. We are looking at becoming one of the largest on ramps into the space. And so, if you help us to do that, we will look at becoming a $140 million company at the end of year 5. That is the vision. So, thank you for the support. I do appreciate it.
All right. Awesome, Oliver. Thanks for hanging out. And I look forward to us sponsoring a beast at one of these things.
Wonderful. I'm
All
excited
right,
for that.
man. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll keep following you.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good day.
Cheers.